We'll call our meeting to order. If you will, please rise with me, Mr. Wesley, word of prayer, and then Ms. Hicks will lead us in the pledge.
Father, to begin this meeting, we ask for your wisdom, help us make sound decisions for our school system. Lord, we pray that you continue to be with us during this pandemic, and to be thy will, may it come to an end soon. Father, we ask that you be with our students, teachers, parents, and support staff as they travel to and from school. May we continue to have a successful school year. Most of all, Father, we thank you for Jesus Christ and the sacrifice he made on the cross. God, guard, and direct us in everything we do. It's in your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We want to welcome everyone. We appreciate you joining us tonight for our April board meeting. We do have a couple board members who are able to be here in person. Mr. Melton, are you with us, sir?
Yes, sir, I am.
And Ms. Weir, are you with us as well?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
Appreciate y'all joining us. You'll be with us on conference call tonight. Move into item number 3 on our agenda. Approve the minutes of the March 11th, 2021 regular session as received.
I make the motion.
Motion by Ms. Hicks,
I'll say.
second by Mr. West. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 4, approve the agenda for the April 8th, 2021 regular session as you have in front of you.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Mr. Sherrill, second by Mr. Lynn. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Brings us to item number 5, consider the 2020-2021 school nutrition program budget amendment. You have a copy of Ms. Laura's amendment here in your packet. Ms. Laura,
That's
anything?
mainly due to the bonus that's coming up.
I make a motion to approve the agenda. I second.
Motion by Mr. Sheriff, seconded by Mr. Upton. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Brings us to item number 6, to discuss a bonus. You have in your packets as well, and you should have received an email with these options. You may have heard in the news the last 2 or 3 months a bonus being discussed in school systems across the state. One thing that you'll note, the state, I guess, initiated this conversation and appropriated some money for a bonus. The state funding there in all 3 options is $47,500. That appropriation is for certified personnel only, your teachers. The options presented here, based on the payment amount, are, actually correct me if I'm wrong, but these are for all employees. The thought process there, Matt talked about this, but you know, this is as a result of the COVID pandemic. Our support staff was in the same operating conditions, same environment that, our teachers were. And obviously, we're grateful and appreciate the sacrifice and the things that everyone in our school system did in these uncertain times. And as a result, the bonus is before you as it is. Again, we started at 500. That wouldn't even, the 47.5 for teachers wouldn't even provide a $500 bonus. That's less than 400, isn't it?
Yes.
Somewhere.
With benefits, yeah, because they had sent benefits on the 47.5, that was just the lump sum, so yes.
And then we went up from there with the options. I'll say that, and if you followed it, I think Metro Nashville has done something similar, and Putnam County, I know, has done something similar to option number 3. That's the most that I've heard anyone doing, and that, and we have options between there as well, but I haven't heard anybody doing any more than that. Again, these numbers reflect the bottom line there. The CCPOE local funding is what we would be out of pocket after the state money is applied for each option.
So we got 172 employees.
Basically, yes. And this is, and there's halves there, if you guys voted on the 500, we would do 250 for a half-time personnel. If you vote on 1,000, we would do a 500 for a part-time personnel. Or prorate them if they're a 75% person, we do the same thing. We try to rate it on what kind of hours you're working based on your job that you're doing.
When we've talked about, this is hard to express, but we have talked about the ESSER funding that we met recently and had a budget for $1.4 million. We didn't put anything in there per se for this particular bonus payment, but however you want to look at it, there are things there that we would have paid for out of operations that will replace this as well. So
There would also be the option too that, depending on what you all decide to do with the conversations we've had with the ESSER funds, if there is any type of project, a larger project, then we might need those allocations rather than using them here. But if not, and at the end of that, we see that we've got some extra funding in ESSER 2.0, or in any of the ESSERs, we would be able to go back and reimburse the system if we had leftover monies and we were done with our projects. Does that make sense? So if we needed to at the end. And I will say this too, you guys have a pretty good surplus in sales tax this year. Sales tax revenue, that doesn't always happen, but this year it has been good, maybe because we have been quarantined to Clay County. So, but the revenue for that is different than it normally is. So you do have the ability to do any of these if you choose to.
And she said there are some districts that just wrote it out of ESSER, but most of us hated to just say, here's money for the kids, but we're going to write it.
Well, I'm all for 3, option 3. I'll make the motion to go with
I'll second.
a motion by Ms. Hicks to go with option number 3 for the bonus payment has been seconded by Mr. Sheriff. Is there any further discussion? Any questions from Matt or Ashley? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to item number 7. to discuss the portable purchase through ESSER 2.0. Again, you have a copy of those proposals in your packet. The one has been replaced. That will be purchased, that could be purchased on the KIPS program for Vanguard. Again, you've seen the condition of the portables that we're using currently. Mr. Civil, you're here, sir. We appreciate you being here. You want to address anything?
Thing is, if we don't go ahead and get new ones, you're looking at spending a whole lot of money this summer to get those back up where, you know, at some point, they're gonna not, I mean, they can still be used now, but they're getting to the point where they're not gonna be safe for children to be in, you know. We're gonna have to do something here pretty soon. Either we're gonna have to put some money up and, you know, dump a lot into them or replace them. It's basically time, you know.
Another thing I failed to mention, the floor joists
Yeah,
in there.
got floor joists that are getting pretty,
Sort of, my opinion, is look at those things, wherever you spend on it, just money thrown in a hole.
yeah.
On the ones currently.
Yeah,
Black
you
hole.
might get a year or so out of it, but then again, when you do that, you really have to replace them, you're gonna gain another $20,000.
I think if you didn't do something now, all you're doing is delaying for another year or two now. I mean, I think even if you've done something to update them, you know, when you start tearing out walls, what's it gonna look like, you know what I'm saying, when we do that, so. Yeah, you don't even know how much damage it really is. you know.
This
We're
is gonna
paying.
come more than what you thought.
And we are paying an electric bill on both of those, so if we can just combine it to one good one where we can use both sides, we should save there as well, where we just have the one electric bill on that. Plus, you know what kind of electric we're using in one of those, it's just going out.
It's used about every day.
The portable, yeah, we got teachers in, our classroom teachers in.
No room.
Yeah.
That's
The-
what's down
The
there.
one probably is laid out a little, it's a little higher, it's probably laid out a little
Well,
bit
I
better.
mean, the way James figured it on the square foot, you said the 24
Smaller ones, slightly cheaper on the square
on the
foot.
square
On the square
foot,
foot.
which that would leave almost enough to go with the aluminum round that you would never have to worry about replacing.
It also says here it's coming with 4 restrooms, the other one's only coming with 2, is that not correct?
But there's, the two are shared too, that you got a little bit more room inside, it's probably laid out a little better, a
No,
little higher.
the smaller one's the one with the 4 restrooms. I was wondering if you could eliminate 2 of those, maybe eliminate some halls.
No, the
Now, I think the bigger one
Am I
is
looking at the wrong one?
24, but
70.
See if you get them.
Yes.
Well, it says the classroom 24 to 60, sorry.
the first, there's one from Mobile Modular, and that quote is $115,000. The other one is from Vanguard Modular Building Systems. I know one of these companies is out of Georgia, the other one's out of North Carolina.
Which one is it that they can set up first?
Yes, and we're just doing one.
Is it the one, which one of the 2 was it that they have up July?
That's the other thing. The slightly cheap, the cheaper model, from Mobile Modular, with the 4 restrooms, they have indicated that they could deliver it by July.
Do not have that in writing, so understand that.
You may want to take all that with a grain of salt, consider.
The other one said August. She actually told us that the Vanguard one said that she could not, she said their system is already backed up, which is another reason why we needed to bring it to you kind of quickly, because she said that she couldn't even get ours started till June, but it would be about 8 weeks. The other one said the same thing, about 8 weeks to, once they have to send this plan to the fire marshal in the state of Tennessee. the plan has to be approved, which they should be standard, so it shouldn't be that bad. But she said, I have waited, she said, Collierville, I did one in Collierville, Tennessee. She said it took me 4 weeks to get the plan approval back. She did one in Rutherford and it took her 2 days. It just depends on who's in there, and whether you've got a 10 on the table or 1 on the table. We just really don't know what the wait time on that's gonna be. I want to mention one other thing. Both of these have the options for poured concrete footers or ABS pads. So the ABS pads look, I don't, if you guys may well know what they are. I had to Google them. I have no idea. But anyway, there's like it's like a pillar. It's pillars under it. If you guys ever thought you might want to move it, if you ever did do another construction project and had room and wanted to move it somewhere, that was one of the options we had talked about before. You know, we have another trailer over here that's in very bad shape that houses out our adult ed and our adult high school. So if you ever wanted to move it, I assume that the pillars would be easier. In saying that, I do not know which you all prefer, and we don't mind either way. I'm just throwing that out there as thoughts to go. The Vanguard did not quote it with, they quoted it with the poured footer. If you wanted the ABS pads, they do knock off $2,000 to $3,000. She told me that earlier. So I would just need you all to word it that way, and then we would call and get the final quote on that amount and put that in the board minutes. The other place quoted it with ABS pads, and then put an option in for you guys to add $5,400 for poured footers.
Yeah, the difference is not
It's not.
much.
It just, the only thing, it might be more mobile if you wanted it to, but then you might not want one that's more mobile sitting there, so I don't know, you know. I don't really know how.
Footers sound a little bit sturdier, more safer.
Now, the one that's behind the K8 has a port
It has a
footer.
footer.
We'll have to tear all that out because it has to be a level ground for when they come. They won't let us use anything that we currently have. They just won't sign off on it before they put their building on top of it. The other one, does it?
No, it's not. No, it's all under Finley's.
And the other one doesn't have a port footer, so.
One thing, get them out for us, did the deal, did you negotiate anything on that?
Well, we'll have to have a surplus sale for those.
Yeah, there you go.
So, I know. And we may have no bid, I mean, I don't know, but we have to have a surplus sale for it. That's just the way governmental property works, so. I will say that there were 3 trailers over here for the superintendent's office and years ago, but when they moved over here in '03, they surplused those out. And they did have a buyer, but
I bought one in Herm Springs.
there you go.
So am I reading this right? So the price of the building itself on the mobile modular is $90,875, and what the price we're seeing down here, is that with the $27,977 alternate pricing added into it?
No. It's the price that you, the $90,875 plus the $16,651 is,
And then taxes on that one?
yes. I don't know,
Like,
hang on.
if we wanted to go with
Yeah,
four
that's
footers,
right.
then that's 115 plus the 54.
And then this one doesn't have the option for this is a wood deck, it's not a galvanized one, or whatever that other one says. And then it has the option, the option to add those to it, but they're not galvanized.
And 2 classrooms in each one, are they the same? Square footage, 621 square foot,
Yes.
and the Vanguard, and 621, 620.
And then the others, I think we kind of did that roughly like on the 22 by 30, it's a very bad page map. We did that the other day on the phone, the 22 by 33, I think maybe. 22 by 33, or 24 by 33. And then we took out both bathrooms, which would be 16 by around 15, and it was in the 4 something. It was in the 4 on the square foot on the classroom space. I can't remember exactly.
It's a little bit smaller, I
Yes,
think.
in the
actual
classroom space, yes.
And probably not as user-friendly, maybe. from a classroom standpoint because of the shape.
And the typical classroom in the buildings are about a 30 by 30 classroom in the schools.
Well, by putting the bathrooms in the middle, you're gonna cut down on the doors too. You have more walls between them.
Less interruption probably in the classroom. So if you compare the two with cord footers, it's basically 124,362 versus 121 almost. The 115 plus the 5,400.
It's actually 107, because that one's got taxes on it and the other one doesn't, so. The 107 plus the 5,400, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That made the square foot and those others is 486, somewhere around there, and we're
Isn't
teaching.
it like 16 by 8, you'd be taking that?
I did 16 by 15, because there's two eights. and then-
But per classroom, you're doing 22 by,
I did a 22 by 33,
33.
right? That's the whole room, and
Right,
then
and
the
then
two
you only
bathrooms are
take-
8 foot apiece on that end, and then,
yeah, they're 8 foot wide and 16, basically 2 bathrooms is 16, so 16 by 8 basically is coming out of
okay,
each
16
room.
by 8, you're right, I'm wrong. Hold on. That'd be 128, 128 and 726. So 698, pretty close to the front. It's just in an L shape and the other one's open where you can see everybody.
Are these located in an area you can access the building from both sides?
That's, if you're looking at this one, the one that's 124, yes, but not ideal. The back exit on the Vanguard would be strictly for emergency purposes.
That's exactly right.
You'd have one door coming in the front on it, and then an emergency exit on the back. With the mobile modular, you have actually 4 exits up front, which would face the actual building, and it's where they go in and out now. So that's more user-friendly and actually would
Well,
get more
what I was
exits.
thinking is there's going to be some form of deck all the way across the whole front of the cheap one. So you're adding the cost of decking across that too,
Yeah.
one way or another.
And if I'm being honest, the other lady probably could give us the galvanized option. That's just not how she quoted it to begin with. We could probably request that as an option if we wanted to, if that's something.
And we got room for that? I mean,
That backside, you know, that's where drainage is off the, for all the hill there, I mean, but, yeah, I think we have room, it's just gonna be probably a little tighter than it is now. But there'd be an exit, like you said, on the backside, there would be a way if you had to get out, or if you really needed to, you know, but that's not gonna be the way you would want.
If it
If
had
we know,
rained, your
you know,
kids' feet would
yeah,
get wet. I
exactly.
mean, if it's poured the right, like my feet got wet today, so, I mean,
Even if they don't provide the ramp, we can buy the ramp elsewhere, we're not like Bonnell or somewhere like that fabricate stuff.
oh, yeah, you can, yeah.
So it may be an option to do that elsewhere. even
Well,
if
I
we
mean,
don't
they
deal
built
with
the
it
ramps that
then.
were on there, so, yeah, I mean, and had them built, yeah, so, I mean, you can get your ramp anywhere you want to. It was just this would be quick, when it gets here, if you would really wanna wait till it got here to try to build something like that, or get something like that to make sure it fits. This would obviously have to fit when it came with it, so, but, yeah, you can do it.
Well, they're not gonna know that till they get here and check on the site those parts high.
Right,
There's
right,
no
well,
way
I
they can
figure
know that
it's
in
got
advance.
some kind of surely it's got some kind of adjustment some way, somehow, I would think.
Can have. Your length is based on your height.
So what would they do? Would they just build the footer the right way to make it fit?
Not unless they know
Probably
what
put it all up
information.
and then come back and ramp it.
Ramp,
like,
ramp
do your
it,
last-
so it may
The
be a
ramp's
way,
gonna
it
happen
may be a
later
way
on.
either way. Okay.
I'd say they've got standard, I mean, they've got several sizes, I would think.
What would be our responsibility would be, we would have to, if we have someone who's doing that at the moment, we would have to make sure we got a permit. We would have to make sure that we got the permit for anything electrical or whatever. Basically, they said the electrical would be ready to just be wired, you know, like ready to go, and all the piping underneath would be ready to marry into our current septic and for sewer and, plumbing, so.
More upkeep.
We have two, there's two in the ones that's there now, two restrooms in each one.
And that works good.
Yeah, I don't think they have a problem with it.
That Herbie,
Yeah.
he's wrong.
Actually, that's coming to your side, what do you have a preference?
I never seen that.
You all decide. I hadn't even seen the plan.
Wow. I personally like the Vanguard because of the noise that you can cut back on.
Way to room a little bit
Yeah,
too.
and it's, you're using all the space that's in there. Yeah.
It's just another thing to cover up all the windows of the safety glass, probably need to have less doors, less openings,
Less ramps.
likely less ramps.
Yeah, and that's. And you know, they're biting more in the beginning, but it's not, I'm sure not that much.
They didn't mention nothing about LED over here on those chickens. All these is LED. You notice that? On the electrical?
They upgraded their starting from vinyl to steel on the second, when they're redo on it, which is a big deal because that vinyl would have lasted through 1 week.
It's all LED.
We're all in agreement, we gotta do something.
That's
Now,
saving
this
money
way we
right
got-
LED will.
I just said I like that.
You know, James,
I like it.
he likes the Vanguard too.
Yeah.
Vanguard. James, that might be something too, if you guys don't wanna worry about the approval of the ramp, we can get some pricing from, if you know, I mean, if we can call whoever, if we could get something like that.
I would do it out of metal, I wouldn't do it out of wood. Right now, the cost is probably pretty close together. And the metal's not going away, I mean,
Right.
you know.
But you were mentioning Bonnell, I didn't
Yeah,
know if,
Bonnell.
if we wanted to get a quote from somebody like that, there's no reason, I feel like that regardless, the portable needs to go ahead and be started if we're gonna wanna try to get it in, but I would think the ramp could be added, we might could add that in 2 months after we've checked on the price of
And
something if we wanted to.
they may be able to come out and tell you from seeing the side to start with how high it'll be set up,
Mhm.
and go ahead and give you the ramp size as far as that. If you want to get working on ramp separate or even with them.
I agree with you though, because the trailers that are there now have had more than one ramp built on them in my
Yeah.
life. So,
And that's a lot of our trouble now.
yes.
Yeah, wood, having wood, I mean, it's constant, you know, keeping it safe, keeping the nails not down the screws.
Motion has been made by Mr. Lynn to go with Vanguard for just a building at this time. Vanguard's the motion.
I say,
And Betsy, in
You
that,
think we wanna save anything, or we ought to just let them put it all together, just when we go over?
I don't deal with one of them ramps.
Huh?
So I don't deal with one of them ramps. I don't have a
I
clue.
would-
But I would do it as still before I do it out of wood, or you'll be replacing it in 10 years.
Vanguard with the metal ramps.
Okay, and then when we do this in the minutes, guys, it needs to have the contract number on it from TIP's purchasing agreement, but I'll get with Betsy on how to, we'll put it in there that way in the minutes. The TIP's purchasing agreement with the contract number.
I'll second the motion.
We already have.
I'm ready, let's vote.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Lynn, seconded by Mr. Upton to accept to proceed with the bid from Vanguard with, on a TIPS contract, vendor contract number 200902.
Yes.
Any discussion? Think we've been there long enough, right? If no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We will proceed. Appreciate everyone's attention to that. Appreciate Mr. Sibley being here as well.
No problem.
Hopefully that'll make your job a little bit easier.
I appreciate it, and I'm sure the kids will too.
That brings us to item number 8, our principal's report. Mr. G, you're on the front row. Good morning.
All right. Our enrollment's about the same. Our attendance, we can't really compare last year because we don't have attendance all the way through April last year. So I compared it to last month, so it's about the same. We're not losing any. We are seeing a little bit of strep throat and different things like that, so attendance may drop a little bit for the next month. Our summer learning camp enrollment's on its way to being enrolled. You know, the kids are enrolling. Got 25, got one or two every day added on to that. So we're going to have a good sized number, hopefully. We were notified by Save the Children that Hermitage Springs, as well as, you want to talk about yours?
Go ahead,
Okay. We're each getting $24,000 from Save the Children. $12,000 for a kinder boost camp for incoming kindergarten students. It's going to provide 2 teachers and materials, and then another $12,000 per school for STEM materials. So we're going to get math kits, Lego robotic kits, and that sort of thing for our summer program. And the beauty of it is we can keep all the materials for the future. So now, this is going to put a little bit more work, a lot more work on Ashley, Gwendolyn, Chelsea, and Betsy, but they've been willing to take it on. Willing, was that an overstatement? Willing?
Esther makes it an overstatement.
They've got a few things going on besides this 24,000.
It's okay.
48 with both groups, but we do appreciate the extra effort they. It's just something else added to what they do. As far as our progress to getting back to normal, our junior high started switching classes on Monday after last Monday. So they're enjoying that. The teachers really like it, being able to stay in their homerooms and actually have bulletin boards and materials easily available to them. We just finished MAT testing. We do our TCAP ELA writing test next week for grades 3 through 8. And then TCAP, of course, is the 19th through the 30th. We're going to have a physical fitness PACER test. That's a Tennessee thing that I've just heard about, so you all probably know about it. It's a thing that's been done for years, I guess. But those students who meet that standard or get to a high percentage of that standard will be going to the Sky Zone as a reward. School officer Cheryl and I are going to do our school security assessment. We're starting to work on that. Ms. Upton's working with us on that and helping us with that. I want to thank our Salina Health and Rehab for sponsoring an egg hunt Monday for our kids. We couldn't get here because of the timing of it, so they brought it to us. So that was good with them. So if you see any of those people, let them know we appreciate it. I told them. Upcoming events today, we had our spring pictures and 8th grade graduation pictures, and the kids are thrilled that we're going to be able to have a normal spring, and we're all happy about that. Progress reports went home this week. looking ahead, you can see some things. I've added a couple things since the last time. The big things would be kindergarten graduation and 8th grade graduation. We have those. We're gonna have some field days and award days, and there will be some field trips coming up. So we've not scheduled all those, but I'll let you know what those are next time. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. G. Any questions for Mr. G? Thank you, sir. Mr. Maxfield?
Well, just echoing what Mr. G is talking about, our TN ready materials are in. They've all been counted and tagged, and the ladies down there have done an excellent job, so we're ready to get started next week. Expecting good things out of our test results, really am. We are currently preparing for summer camp. As he had mentioned, we've got several names, people applying, and then our Kinder Boost, the teachers that are doing that are really excited about that. They said we'd love to pack them out just because we're gonna have an advantage, hopefully going into next year, with the children coming into kindergarten, getting that extra little step and maybe narrowing the gap, and so the fundamentals are ready to go. We have students that competed today in the virtual math competition at TTU. Had a couple of them place 7th out of, generally there's probably over 100 that compete, so that's really good. So we had a couple of our students to place 7th out of all those, so that's really good. And also doing what the high school's done, it's made our day a lot easier on the checking the temperatures. We've got the stand-up models there inside the doors. I noticed this morning, I think we had all of our buses unloaded in about 5 minutes. Everybody was scattered out and going to their classes. We've got it inside the gym, and we're letting them go through, and so far everything's going good. And just like Mr. G said, we've got our kids going now in middle school, rotating classes, and we've started allowing our kids to come back in the cafeteria, and and they're loving that, and teachers are loving it too. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody. So it's been really good. And thank you all for your support and all this. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Maxfield. Ms. Tia?
All right, some things I need to mention that's not on this list because I forgot to add them when I printed this list is, of course, we have our prom coming up April the 30th that you all know you all are invited to, but it is April the 30th, so it's 3 weeks from this Friday, but we got to get through tests first, so right now I ain't really worried about prom. The other thing is we do have a summer externship that we do through TCAT that Mr. Donaldson is, he's heading up. We have kids signed up for that, and for 2 weeks, 4 days especially, they're going to go tour businesses. The businesses are coming in. It's going to be out there in our TCAT extra facilities on campus. Teachers are going to be involved. There's going to be teachers doing things with them, so we're excited about that. We don't know the dates yet. He's still getting that set up with TCAT, but we will be doing that in our high school at the conclusion of the year. The other things on here, Miss Dotson, she teaches a class for juniors, and in this class they have the option of getting their Microsoft Office industry certification, and every student that's taken that test thus far has passed it and got their Microsoft Office certification. The other thing we've done, our FBLA students just took a virtual state test, and they did the virtual state competitions, and we had actually several students, like close to 10 students that placed in the top third. They placed either first, second, or third place in the state in each of these individual competitions, and are all invited to the nationals. And that's the most we've ever had. Of course, as you know, last time we talked, our teams had both was going to go to the state tournament. Our boys, of course, our girls made it to the Final Four, and our boys won for the first time in state history. Rob Edwards and several have toted the gold ball around several places. They went and toured the K-8s and talked to all the kids, and it was a great day. The kids got to sign shirts, and they got autographs, and both schools. I said both schools.
You mentioned K-8 though.
I said both K-8s. I'm so sorry, Mr. G. I did say both K-8s. Hermitage Springs. They had a great time. They have pictures. The CCHS and TCAT nursing program did receive the Tennessee Pathway certification, and there's going to be an official ceremony via a Zoom meeting on April the 20th. And then also our CNA students that are currently in that class will be taking their CNA exam on May the 6th. So we don't know exactly how many we're gonna have graduating as certified CNAs. But we will have several, but that test is May the 6th. The CCHS greenhouse, which is operated by the FFA chapter, it will open on April the 16th. And the envelope that was on your folder is a gift card that the FFA provided to all the board members. And it will open, we're also in the process of getting our facilities down at the baseball, softball, football complex. It's really faded and it's chipping, so it is in the process right now of being repainted. So we're gonna try to make that facility down there. We're trying to keep it. We do have all of our scoreboards up and running. And we're in the process of hopefully getting some speakers on the baseball, softball side that we think possibly will be donated. Also, our juniors just got their scores back from the ACT. We're still waiting on just a few scores, but as of right now, all of our students should show growth with everything going on. So we're excited about that. Of course, our spring sports are underway. We have baseball, softball, and tennis, all three going at the same time right now. And we are expecting a successful season from all three of those. Lastly, this week, as they have stated earlier, has been very hectic, getting ready for the state tests, getting back from spring break, preparing for the EOCs, counting all the tests, labeling all the tests because they're by hand this year. I've actually spent my last 2 days making phone calls and visiting and sending Miss Gwenda to all the virtual parents for every kid in the high school that's virtual at this moment to inform them of the date and the time that they must be at Clay County High School to take these state tests because they are required. And then the last thing that Mr. Eldridge wanted me to talk to you all about is graduation. We have had a meeting this week concerning graduation because I know a lot of parents have started calling me wanting to know what our plans are. So we were kind of putting it off to see how much the restrictions are going to be lifted. Because we do want these seniors to have as close to a normal graduation as possible. So we have discussed it in great detail, and we have decided that we're gonna keep it just like we did for the sub-state tournament. That's the most we've ever had in that building at one time, which was under 50% capacity, which was around 850. That was about what we had for the sub-state. That's the most the gym's ever had in it. So we have discussed it, and we feel it's only right that the senior graduation have the same amount. And it was full. I mean, it's not like we're gonna, but it's comfortably full, and there's still gaps that, that we can spread people out. Of course, the seniors will be spread out 6 feet on the floor. They're still gonna be they're still gonna be spread 6 foot out on the floor. But if you take all 73 seniors and you divide that by that number, which is almost, it's a little under half capacity, because our capacity is 1850, which we can't hold that, but that's what it says on the plaque. Every single senior can have 10 to 12 people apiece, which is tickets each. And I have told them, I had a meeting with them yesterday, and some of them were already signed out for work-based learning, but the seniors that I talked to yesterday, I told them to tell all the rest of them. We sat down and I gave them, we had a big discussion because I know they have a lot of questions about it. They were all satisfied and said they thought it was great, but I told them at the end, if there is a senior that, let's say, only needs 5, their family's not very large, I'm not giving them all 10 for them to take 5 and throw away. That's 5 people that another senior can't bring. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna tell me how many they need, and I'm going to keep a list. So if there are leftover tickets that another senior might need that has a larger family, we will have some room to play. So I've told every senior that if they need more than 10, to please come and see me and only me, and let me know their needs. So they are all in agreement. They've also asked me about lock-in. So I told them I would get with you all about lock-in. If we do have a lock-in, I don't see anything, I'm okay with having a lock-in, it's up to you all. But we do need to discuss having a lock-in. If we have one, I would like to have a shortened version, and I'll explain that later, if you all, whatever y'all think about it. Y'all have any questions about graduation? Oh, and the award ceremony. We are not gonna do a separate award ceremony because I do not think it's a good idea to bring all the people in 2 different times. I just don't really want to do that. I don't think it's a good idea. So we are gonna keep graduation very similar to what we did last year along that line. I really don't think we need to bring in all the presenters into the building. I think it just needs to be the seniors and their family members. So what me and Mr. Strong had planned to do is, like, let's say I'm graduating and I have 3 scholarships / awards. When I get to my name alphabetically, I'm gonna say the following senior has been awarded this scholarship in the amount of, in addition to, and so I will announce all 3 at one time before they come up, and I will present them with everything they have been awarded, so that they're all, so mom and daddy can still say that's my baby, and they know exactly what they got, but it makes it faster, quicker, and efficient. What do y'all think?
And the other, to make it fair, what we talked about, she's gonna do this, if you 3 need more tickets, it won't be, okay, James first winner, he gets all the 5 extras.
Right, I'm not
It'll
gonna
be
do
like,
that.
we'll give each one of you one, and then if no one else shows up, you need more, the next day you come back, you get one more, until everybody can try it, she can even it out, it's fair. That matters, don't get all the tickets, each one of us gets some, so we're gonna try to do it that way, she's got a good plan.
That's why y'all always do them scholarships and stuff.
Well, last year,
Hey,
it
that's
went a
my
lot better
plan.
doing that.
Todd, from now on, me and Mr. Strong has talked, unless my mind changes from now on, it's probably, well, as long as I'm principal, it's probably gonna be done that way.
I like it, you just took all the pressure off of me. I'll tell you. I'm good with that.
But if we do, what are your thoughts? If we do have a lock-in, I really don't wanna keep them before AM, because I think that's almost as dangerous than driving home sleepy. So what if we had it, because if graduation doesn't last as long, we can start locking sooner. What if we release them at 1 AM, because they're kinda used to that anyway, but then they can get home at a decent hour, but it's still late enough that they don't party. And Mr. Strong has come up with every solution we can come up with. That was the best one we came up with.
And I can say, the last few times that we
'Cause they're
did
not
have
very long.
lock-in, they were all wore out by about 2 AM, and
They
we
are,
actually
they're killed.
ended it early anyway, so they could get on home before they fell asleep driving.
That's what concerns me. But it's a lock-in, and it still serves the same purpose, and they still get to spend their last night together, but it's not as long, and we release them to where they can still get home. It's about like prom, it's about what time they get home from prom. So it's kind of the same, along the same lines. That's what we were discussing. I just thought I'd tell y'all what we were discussing.
Make it work.
You ain't gonna make everybody happy, no way.
But that way they get a lock-in, it's just a shortened version.
Sounds good.
Still safer for them.
Huh?
It's safer for the kids.
It is, in my opinion, it's safer for them, so.
Any questions for Ms. Tia? Thank you. Dr. Elder?
We're gonna, and some of them mentioned, we're gonna try to make the end of the year as good as we can, so we're gonna have trips. But we're gonna try to make it between that 8 and 3, we don't have the bus drivers to spare coming home late. And we'll send the notes home saying, we're gonna take a trip, are you okay with your child? They may be in, within that 6 feet, we'll still try to be safe, but still let them try to have as normal end of the year as we can, so we're gonna start that back. I know this last year, when you guys let us not have fundraisers, it was great. It was great. I think the public liked it, I think everybody liked it. But we're about to start the point now to where we're gonna have to start having fundraisers back. Because they'll start now having them for next year, so just be prepared for it. If they're not having it, breaking the rule, they're just preparing for next year. We'll congratulate Mr. Edwards and his bunch, and we'll try to have them at one of these next meetings and recognize them. Now, I've talked to you about this ESSER, and I'm sick of hearing it just like y'all are. Of course, y'all know this, ESSER 1, we had 350,000 given us. ESSER 2, we had a 1.4 million given us. ESSER 3, they predicted 2.8 million, but it turned out being 3.22 million. And they told us just the other day, there's gonna be an ESSER 4 given to us in May. Now, they give us 4 shots and they ain't give us, we ain't got it, any of it yet, actually have the vaccine. We got it approved, yeah,
It's approved, so I mean.
there you go. But, so we're gonna get another, we don't know how much it is, we should know in May. And they said this is supposed to be for facilities. And I didn't go down to the conference, because I don't like to go to about, they called me and said, you ain't believing this one. We're getting an ESSER force, I don't know what it is, but they said they want this to be used on facilities. And of all of this, you can build on, you just can't build a new building, that's the only rule they got. So there's money everywhere now, right now. But anyway, if not, then we can fix everything we got in this county, everything. I mean, I almost, I know we've got to finish out some Herman Springs, and the carpet, put tile down, and take out windows. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but we laughed. I said, let's say we took every one of the windows and replaced what we needed to, and took that carpet tile. Let's say big numbers, $20,000. $20,000 isn't much when you compare it to all that money you get. So, I mean, and we're gonna fix the bathrooms and do some stuff, and I'm gonna give y'all some ideas of what architects are saying with some of the laws that's coming about, what you need to do with restrooms. And I'll tell y'all about that later.
How many strangers have you done?
There are certain, but it's pretty liberal right now at Betsy. I mean, they
And
give
they
you.
improved what we see on the 2.0, because there was no, we already seen in for all the bathroom repairs and
Well, y'all know this.
Wind replacements.
In 35 years, the rule is if they give you money, do not supplant it. And use your normal money for something else to put.
It's supposed to be extra.
It's supposed to be extra. They told us you better supplant. That's what they told us.
Well, yeah, they're,
Well, they
what
said
they're
if you
saying
want
is.
to, they said if you want to do it, but they said if you want to supplant it, put your other money back, you can do that too. So they never say that, never, but they did this time.
What they got
Yes,
coming.
You got it.
that's exactly it.
You got it.
They cut something big down.
But they did, now they said this, they said in 4 years, there'll be no, and I guess they mean no more ESSER money. I'm gonna be like Ms. White, she said, what you better do, we're not having more capital outlay projects ready at that time, because I'd say we'll just be paying staff. What will we do? And I hate to be that way, I don't mean to be pessimistic, but that's what, they've never done this in y'all's years, have they ever done this, ever seen money come? Me either. So, and I'll use Cookville, just for one of their ESSER's got 20 million. For one of Memphis, 100 million. I mean,
So you all will see our fund balance grow, but you'll have to, when people ask you about that in the public, I mean, it's because this ESSER is allowing it to for the moment, but you are gonna need it apparently, because I don't think they would be preaching to him to supplant it, because federal usually would die if you did that. So,
They would.
yes, that you would get written up, you'd have to pay the money back, it would be a nightmare, so, and we try to watch that very closely, so I feel like with them saying that, yes, there are very dry years coming, so.
we should be receiving our last bus of our 3 that we got at a quarter price between now and the end of the year, maybe June. Ashley, is that what you?
She called and asked me for the number before spring break. She thought a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I haven't heard from her this week, so yes, it could be delayed a little, but yes, I think we'll have it before the end of school.
So that's the, and then after that, of course, you all approved it, we're going back to the full price. And the full price won't ever go back down, y'all know that, after they raise it up. And another good thing, we had about every year at TCAP, when we have seniors that's going to enroll, they have a signing day for them too, just like anybody else. This year was virtual, but we had about, and they weren't sure, Teresa Johnson from up there, but we had about 12 to 15 had their signing day at TCAP yesterday, and we did a virtual congratulatory form. And that's a great thing, because that gets a lot of kids that won't go to school, it'll get them work ready faster than a lot of people will get, so that's a good thing for them. Other than that, I know I say it all the time, I guess I'm getting older, man, time flies, and it's hard to believe that this year's about over. Because everything they told and I told, we're doing next year now, it's all, and I know y'all know it. But guys, thanks for your time, I mean, I know there's things you could do, but I appreciate what y'all do, just like they said, thanks for the time y'all give, what y'all think about the kids in the community, thank you. Y'all got questions you asked?
Our budget's due before the commission June 21st, so what we'll probably do is just to wait and approve it in the June meeting. if that's okay with y'all. Gives me a little more time to get some better numbers and let us get the May payroll done. With the 3 payrolls.
And she said, and Ashley already touched on this, which if our fund balance with all this money coming in before it's spent, it's gonna look like it's doubled, and it's not. It will, but we're spending it. But I don't want anybody to say, well, y'all got $10 million in there, why you spending it on the kids? Well, we are. We just can't spend it all at once, so. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Eldridge. If it pleases the board, we'll get back to what we normally do this time of year. Ms. T has already agreed to host us at the high school next month. I think Mr. Edwards will probably still be grinning from ear to ear as well. And we'll hopefully be able to honor our boys. And we had some grade school athletes as well, I think, win some state tournaments. So we recognize those young people as well, and we'll try to have those guys there at our meeting next month at the high school. I appreciate your patience and getting those bids passed tonight. Is there anything else at this time that needs to come before the board?
Make the motion to adjourn.
Lee has made a motion to adjourn. Second by Mr. West, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed.